right, welcome back everyone to another Crypto Vagabonds Q&A. As every single event, we must start with a disclaimer that nothing that we say or express in any platform is to be considered financial tax or legal advice. Be aware and remember that this event occurs every Wednesday at 1 p.m. Eastern Time. Focus on Eastern Time, please, because different areas on the world change time at different dates. So always 1 p.m. Eastern Time. We are Monday to Friday from 7 a.m. until more or less 9 for 2 hours. We are also on Clubhouse. So if you want to interact with us live on the audio format, Clubhouse is the place to be. Of course, we also have this YouTube channel, Instagram and Twitter, and we already phased out of Facebook, and we're going to be phasing out of Instagram for local reasons. So again, nothing here is financial or legal or tax advice. Today, I'm going to be talking to you about something which is stable coins. But first, let me let you know that I'm known in the crypto space as a risk-averse person. Most people do have some line of focus. I focus on being risk-averse, and I have a law. If there's a doubt, there is no doubt. So let's make a deep dive into stable coins. This is going to be a portion of something that we did on Academy last Thursday with stable coins on our coin analysis. And this is like a small fraction of whatever was discussed and was achieved at that meeting. Those coins, research, and the presentation have been made by Buana. If you are interested in this kind of content, or if you want to find out more about it, what fully was discussed on those events at Academy, consider subscribing to the Academy, talking with us. So we're going to go on a roadmap of what is a stable coin, and those stable coins that we're going to be discussing today is the USDT and BUSD. So stable coins, here we go. Stable coins are digital currencies. I have to see. Oh, welcome back. Okay. So stable coins. Stable coins are currencies or digital currencies which are tied to another asset or pegged to another asset. In this case, we have here the coins, assets, sorry, the gold here, and the assets on the, or the pegged would be on the other side. So another way to look at it is you can look at traditional finance, because that's the reason for stable coins. It's very slow. Traditional finance banking system, it's very slow. And the traditional system has restrictions in terms of borders. So for instance, if you are, let's say, in Angola or Curacao and you want to buy cryptocurrencies on exchange, in order for you to transfer that from your bank and make that viable to the exchange, it's going to take days, weeks. I had a case of a transaction that took 3 months for it to go through. So because of how slow traditional finance is, we use as a bridge stable coins, because then that already exists in a digital world without any borders and without the same time restrictions as traditional finance. So that's a reason or one way to look at stable coins. And of course, it is backed by certain assets. So you have the currency, you have the commodity, and you have the financial instrument. Now, another thing that stablecoins bring into this space is stability, because most crypto assets are very volatile. There's no way to predict or to guess what the value is going to be. With stable coins, let's say a dollar pegged or British pound pegged, you have a sense of stability, and now you can maybe hold your stable coins and then move into the asset when you think is the most convenient time. So that's pretty much, in a nutshell, what is the purpose or what stable coins do. But let's get into the USDT, which is one of the most famous and the most predominant stablecoin. As you can see here, USDT Tether, and this was taken quite recently. The market cap is around 81 billion, or pretty close to 81 billion. So this, of course, the largest. You can see here, Bitcoin is the #1 in coin market cap. The second one is Ethereum, and in third place is a stablecoin, USDT. So it's the most dominant and the most accepted, and of course the largest market cap. And you can see here the dominance continues to grow in terms of the dominance of the USDT. excuse me. So you can see here it's higher than 2%. Now, the USDT is registered on the company that issues, it is registered on the British Virgin Islands. And another characteristic of this particular stablecoin, it exists in several blockchains. You can find it on Algorand, you can find on Solana, Ethereum, Avalanche, Polygon. You can find on Binance Chain. There's more blockchains that this stablecoin exists. It's just that we didn't have space to do it on one slide, but it exists across several different blockchains. And of course, it is supposed to be stable one-to-one to the dollar. And again, even though the name is a stable coin and it's supposed to be backed by the US dollar and should be able to hold parity, that is not always the case. So the idea is you give $1 and you receive the crypto version of that dollar or a USDT. And of course, in that narrative, it should be holding, its peg should be holding the value of the parity equal to the dollar. Now, the idea is the reverse. Once you give or you return your USDT, you get your US dollar back into your bank account. That USDT is burned or destroyed. That's in theory how this thing should work. And as long as that works, the ratio of 1:1 will be maintained. The issue is it is not only being backed by US dollars in the sense that it's not just dollar that backs the parity or supports the value of the coin. This is a breakdown of the reserves that USDT holds as a way to back up their value. And you can see here other investments, secured loans, which to me is very dangerous because you need to be able to receive or collect loan, bond bonds, precious metals is another percentage here. And this vast long line of 82%, it says cash and cash equivalents. And here's where it starts to get a bit tricky. What is cash equivalent? And what is short-term deposits? And what is commercial paper? So all of this, even though the first letter here is cash, the first word is cash, all of this is very questionable. Like, because cash equivalents, we don't know what that is. Other short-term deposits, it's hard to define what it is. Commercial paper, most people cannot define. Commercial paper is like anything. And of course, if you take that and then you break this down, you find that 71% is US Treasury bills. Now, once you have US Treasury bills, you need to find out more questions about the maturity, and then 0.20% non-US Treasury bills, which means it's still Treasury bills, but not US. And then there's something even more complex, reverse repurchase agreement. We have a training that can explain what that is. It's, again, another very complex instrument. And then you have cash and bank deposit, 9.6% of this 82%. And then you have 13, which is money market funds. And then you have commercial paper and certificate deposits. As you can see, there's a lot of instruments that carry on themselves a lot of volatility to secure this parity of 1:1 to the dollar. And of course, once you have that level of complexity, what happens is you are subject to a drop on the parity. So you can see here, at one point, USDT was $1.20 and instantaneously went to 60 cents. That is a 50% depreciation within a day. So what are the pros and what are the cons? So the pros of the USDT or stablecoins is liquidity. The other pro of this one is exist in multiple blockchains, widespread adoption. So again, cons and pros. Let's talk about the maturation of the treasury bills, which is a huge concern. Treasury bills, they have two values. They have the market value and they have their face value. The face value, let's say, could be $1,000. And if the maturation is 3 months, it is subject to one volatility. If the maturation is 10 years, it's subject to a different volatility. Another issue is lack of transparency. Those are the cons of this particular stablecoin. And here we also have a few controversies since the creation of the USDT. In May, there was a paper leak reveal April, Wells Fargo suspended the services. 2017, it was hacked. Again, 2017, manipulation of Bitcoin price was an accusation that investor was manipulating the price, because once you provide more liquidity to an asset, you increase the price, you reduce liquidity, you reduce the price. In October, they had to burn 500 million USDT. We don't know why yet. Between 11 and 15 of October, the USDT price had a crash. Again, in 2018, Tether had to open a new bank account in a Bahamas bank. And another thing which I think is a huge con is that this USDT, it is very close to another exchange, in the same way that Alameda and a few projects were connected to an exchange. So there's a few similarities between USDT and FTX. Now, another problem, which is again similarity with the FTX, is they have a lack of experience on finance. And this line here alone says a lot. The founders of the company are unusual. They are labeled here as unusual bunch, and they don't have an experience on finance. One founder was a child of an actor that turned into early crypto investor. Another founder was a top shareholder that performed a plastic surgery, and before turning electronics import into them to crypto. So the story of the people involved are very strange. Like, why would you make a plastic surgery to change your appearance? And one new owner has gone deep into the British politics. So there's a lot of similarities and sketchy behavior between the members of this project that reminds me of the FTX. And another thing is a group of 4 men control 86% of the USDT holdings. That is not the USDT in circulation, but the USDT holdings. Now let's talk about BUSD. BUSD is another cryptocurrency, is another stablecoin, and we're going to talk about the same way we discussed about the USDT. We're going to talk about BUSD. So BUSD is supposed to, again, to be backed one-to-one with the dollar, and it is issued by, not issued by Binance, but it's issued by Paxos. Binance allow Paxos to use the name Binance to the BUSD, but it's issued by one company, and Binance does not have the power to issue BUSD. It is issued by Paxos. And again, you can see here, Paxos is the sole issuer of BUSD. BUSD is compliant with New York, what is this again, Buana? New York Department. I forgot
New York
what is
State Department of Financial Services.
Yes, thank you. Obviously, tokens are fully backed by US cash and cash equivalents at all times. Again, in this case, it's just cash and cash equivalents. All reserve assets are held in a fully segregated place, so the bankruptcy of Paxos would not compromise the backing of the BUSD. So those are a few things that are different between BUSD and USDT. Now, created and exists, of course, on the Binance chain. And the greatest Depeg we had so far on the history of BUSD is a 6% Depeg, which you can see here on the graph. It went to 93.8 cents, unlike USDT that went as far down as 60 cents. And one thing about the transparency, which the USDT does not have, and USD seems to have, again, it's being audited every month, and they have treasury bills. But here's the thing which I find beautiful. All treasury bills are very short term. Remember, treasury bills with a short maturation, you can see here maturation date, they are pretty much maturing in 2023. And the other instrument that they have here, which is US Treasury debt, it has pretty much an instant maturity. So maturation and the instruments are more solid and more transparent than USDT. Now let's look again at pros and cons. Short maturation of treasury bills, that's the pros. That's a very good positive. It has a third-party auditor that sees and verified how collateralized they are, and they seem to be so far over collateralized. Now, it exists on Binance. It's pretty much used mostly for Binance Exchange. And of course, it has a decentralized blockchain ecosystem and also uses the BNB chain, which is a centralized company for exchanging crypto assets. And those are different. You need to understand that Binance Exchange is different than Binance Chain. Binance Exchange could collapse and the BNB chain would continue to exist. Now, I just mentioned if Binance Exchange does go bankrupt, it does not affect the BUSD, it does not affect the BNB chain. Now, Paxos is fully regulated, as we mentioned. Here is regulated by New York State Department of Financial Services, NYDFS. And the bank is fully approved and insured by the FDIC. And again, New York regulated Paxos publish stablecoin reserves and transparency is done. So like there's more transparency, there's more audit to BUSD. So let's go again to the pros and cons a bit more. Now, BUSD has been claimed to be under collateralized according to these headlines. I'm not sure how much was, but one thing what I find here is under collateralized by 1 billion. And again, this 1 billion of under collateralization is not as serious for BUSD as it could be serious, for instance, for USDT. USDT has a maximum cap supply or the circulating cap supply of 80 billion. BUSD has market cap of 6 billion. So it's not a large market cap. And if the whole thing is totally not collateralized, it is not very difficult for Binance, Paxos, and other institutions to come up with 6 billion, unlike FTX, where they collapsed at 30 billion. And if you look at USDT, the market cap is almost 81 billion. If there's a problem of 81 billion, it's hard to solve, but a problem of 6 billion is not as hard to solve on the crypto space. So you can see here another headlines where it talks about a crypto crackdown and Binance move 356 million. Again, 356 million is a large amount for you and I, but it's not a very large amount. But here in this case, they moved 346 million for the exchange Bizlato, and Binance helped authorities to help that. So Binance has been helpful so far with authorities, and as long as things are on the Binance blockchain, they have been able to offer help and allow the institution to confiscate funds that have been used in legal form. And again, you see here, regardless of that, the SEC did try to charge Binance stablecoin, and I think this was an attempt to hurt Binance, but what is, again, it is issued by Paxos and the SEC to call BUSD a security. And if you guys are watching this video, please watch the video that I just posted a few hours ago on Gary Gensler, and you can see that Gary Gensler has a double standard. So I don't give much importance to headlines. So, but ever since SEC went after Paxos, they stopped issuing new BUSD. So let's try to make a little recap. We talked about stablecoins, and we gave you a brief information about USDT, and we compare that with BUSD. So just remember, it is different when you have 80 billion circulating supply and when you have 6 billion circulating supply. It's different when there's lack of transparency on what is backing up your 80 billion, where's transparency, what is backing up your 6 billion. So if you want to find out more in depth what was discussed and more things about cryptocurrencies, please consider joining the Crypto Vagabonds Academy. We have two different formats. One is Academy Lite, where you're going to have access to all the recordings, but not access to the live events. To be able to have access to the live events, the only way to get to that is having a call with me and getting approved, because the live group, we want to keep it as clean as possible. So interest on that, please contact us using the link below on this video if you're watching this on YouTube. And now, of course, time for the Q&A, where I handle the floor to you guys.